The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
Watched the fifth installment of a premise that was exhausted in the second installment, with increasingly lame traps, a creepy neighbor kid who loves snow, and one man's crazy obsession with a painting of his GG. Welcome to another episode of our Franch-Fried series.
Yes.
I'm Brian.
I'm Paul.
And today we are, as you can see, talking about Home Alone, the holiday heist.
Yes, otherwise known as Home Alone 5.
So just in time for the holidays, we are always relevant to the schedule.
Nothing if not punctual. That's us.
Absolutely. Yes. If you got a back catalog to get through, save us till the next holiday season.
Yeah, there you go.
Either way.
Yeah, just stop listening now and try and remember.
Exactly. Put a note in your phone or a reminder.
10 months time. Oh, let's bring that back.
Yes. Whose horseshit idea was it? Well, I know the concept of this. Yeah. Well, I guess we should back up and kind of explain if you're a new listener.
Yeah, so the basic idea behind this little series that we're doing, and I have numbered them in the feed, so you'll be able to go back and find the order that we have done them in. But we take a franchise, and for that it has to be more than three. More than three.
Yeah, so 3 is a trilogy. Yes.
Preferably more than that, because you can get into some very interesting films later down the line.
I think after this one we need to rule out TV movies.
I don't know. But yes,
I would like that amendment.
It has to be officially in the franchise, which this one was.
Fuck off.
And so more than 3 has to be a franchise, so it can't be, well, there were 3 and then there was a spin-off somewhere. That doesn't count, and reboots don't count as well.
Yeah.
So, the original series has just gone on a bit too long. And
jump the shark, as they say in television.
And basically the reason we're doing this is to prove that continually doing sequel after sequel after sequel is not really the best business model, because you get shit by the end.
But sadly it's a safe bet for studios that can make a 20% profit on something. And
yes, I mean the only caveat I would say to that is Marvel gets a pass, because so far they've been doing alright. But anyway, this was, and I just found this out, so this was originally airing on ABC Family in 2012.
Totally believe that.
On November 25th, not as part of the 25 Days of Christmas, which is what they do. No, as part of the countdown to the 25 Days of Christmas.
Ooh.
They didn't even consider this good enough to go in the 25 Days of Christmas.
ABC Family. This wasn't good enough for ABC Family's any material.
Yes.
Okay, that gives you a little idea of where this podcast is heading.
So yes, this film was directed by.
Loosely using the word film, I know.
I have to call it a film.
This series of images.
It fulfills the criteria of being called a film, unfortunately.
Yes.
Directed by Peter Hewitt. And those of you that might say, hey, I kind of recognize that name. He was the director of Bill and Ted Bogus Journey and Whatever Happened to Hal Smith, 2 films I quite enjoyed. And then Garfield.
But not Garfield 2, A Tale of Two Cities?
No, just the first one. And also Zoom. Yes, otherwise known as that Zoom? Tim Allen superhero one, where they were, I guess it was it Something in the Sky or something? I don't know. I didn't actually know. Like, Academy for Superheroes. The basic.
I would rather talk about Zoom, a film I have not seen, than this one, which I have.
Well, that would be an interesting idea. I mean, it was actually co-written by Adam Rifkin. So,
there we go.
So it would actually be more fun to talk about.
joined us on the pod a couple years ago.
Yeah, actually, do go back and listen to that because something might be happening in the next few months that could be very relevant to that. So, yes.
Brush up.
Yes, do go back.
Do your homework. Okay.
And forgive us for any bad audio and things like that. It was relatively early in our feed there. So,
all right.
The holiday heist.
Oh God! I mean, let's just get it out of the way. This is a steaming pile of horse shit.
Yes, I don't know if it's down in your notes there, but I received a text from my good friend Brian here while watching it, basically saying that he wished that Ernest would turn up so we could just watch Ernest again.
I mean, hindsight, all that. I mean, Ernest in the Army was awful, and I would say probably still one of the worst films I've ever seen. But at least it was a character that I was familiar with.
Yes.
And there was some tie to, and there was not a single laugh for me in this movie. Not one. I wrote at one point, okay, new goal, or movie goal, make me laugh once. And then, 3 notes later, I said, make me smile once.
Yes.
I will. And still, no.
Yeah,
I think I'll get to it at some point.
I
got close to a grin at some point, but I think it was, I don't even know where the hell that is. But, oh my God.
So, yes.
This is unlikable from the outset.
Yes, this film is not set in Chicago at all. So the first of the Home Alone to not be that way. It features the Baxter family, so not connected to either the McAllisters or the one from 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. So entirely new family. Yeah, so I'll give you the top 5 people in this film. And that would be Christian Martin as Finn Baxter, who I'm surprised he still wanted his name on this. Jodelle Ferland as Alexis Baxter. And then, for reasons only known to himself, Malcolm McDowell as Sinclair.
We'll get into Malcolm McDowell, a little.
Debbie Muzar, I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce her name, as Jessica, and Eddie Steeples as Hughes. So there's also a mum and a dad, and a kid, and the occasional other person. But yeah, so this film, which was also going to be called Alone in the Dark, but then they changed it to The Holiday Heist.
That's how I felt watching it. I felt all alone in the dark.
Now, if they'd have gone with Alone in the Dark, they would have been wrong. Because at no point is a single person alone.
Well,
in the
the title of the movie, Home Alone, yes. They, I think, point out he is with the sibling, I think just like in 4 or something, which I have not seen, but I heard he's with a sibling as well, whoever is in that. But yes, not Home Alone with your sister.
Yes.
Who is trapped in a bootlegger's secret room. We'll get there. Yes. Trust me, that'll make sense, and maybe it will. Because it didn't really make sense to me, but hey. Poor. I mean, was Malcolm McDowell on some hard times here? He had to have been.
I think so.
He is a very accomplished, I would say, English actor.
Yes, very much so.
Who is in now one of my favorite shows of all time, Mozart in the Jungle.
I've seen the first episode.
And he is fantastic as Maestro Thomas Pembridge. Poor. I wrote poor Malcolm McDowell 3 times in my notes. You just feel for him. I know we've watched plenty of shitty movies where this odd star turns up and you're like, what in the hell? Yeah. And I wrote down I hope he's enough to make this watchable. And sadly, even he was not enough to make this watchable.
No, yes.
This film, he could not even save it for anything.
This film clearly should never have been made. It was...
No, 3, 4, and 5 should not have been made.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know who the audience was going to be. Who sat down... By the
time you get to the film,
and was like, hey, you know what we need? We need more of the Home Alone. I'm trying to remember. Home Alone 4 was a direct-to-TV thing or something like that.
Yeah, it was a TV movie, yeah.
Hang on. It was made in 2002. It was 10 years later that they made this one.
Yeah, and 22 years after the original.
Yes, and I think the only way it could have been saved is if they'd had a creepy neighbour like in the first one, but it was Kevin McAllister.
Actually, yeah, that'd be great. If it wasn't Macaulay, yeah.
Yeah, he was going along in his trench coat, and then he sees what's going on, and he's like, nope, just turns around and walks away.
Yeah, so 22 years after the original, so say you saw this movie when you were roughly 10 or 12.
Yeah.
That puts you at roughly my age now, 30, in your 30s. Paul would be a bit younger there, lucky ass. But
I'm 29 at present.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there some sort? Is it just solely based on a nostalgia grab? That
must have
hey,
been.
I really got to get me some more of that Home Alone goodness. Which, granted, I mean, Home Alone is a pretty decent, I would say, or it can sustain itself at least.
Yes.
As a fun, if not flawed, holiday film.
Yes.
With decent writing. I mean, characters by John Hughes, of course.
Yeah.
So there is good in there, and it is. I still say worth watching,
and very much a product of the time as well, because the whole...
Can we just talk about Home Alone?
Oh, yeah. But the whole kid is stuck at home, I need to get home because I have no way of contacting him. Like, that doesn't happen now. It's not possible, pretty much, to not be able to contact someone.
Well, if you rely heavily on very holy plot devices at every 4 seconds, then you can make it happen. But
so
we saw in this.
That was one of my things with this one, is... the length they went to be, oh no, we have no way of contacting them, was painful.
Yeah, every single thing they resorted to. Oh my gosh. The dad, I hated the dad. He is, I mean, I wrote this out. The parents are the most cookie cutter-esque parent tropes. The whole thing, we're moving, but we really, I know it's rough on you guys. The wee ones, as the realtor calls them. Who the hell says wee ones to a 12-year or 14-year-old and 18-year-old?
A drunk Scottish person.
Yes. But yeah, I know you're going through rough times, but we got to pull together as a family. Those kind of parents. Oh my God. And the dad calling his kid dude. What are you doing? I don't know who. I mean, yeah, sure, all that's different.
Well, that's someone who.
My dad called me dude. I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" He is the worst. Yeah. So anyway, they move into this house in Maine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they move, I believe, literally across country. I think they were on the west coast.
There's mention of like 3,000 miles or something, isn't there?
I think
3,000 miles away, or I don't know.
They were on the west coast.
Or no, that was Simon that said they were.
And then,
they overshot their target by 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really didn't pay much attention to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, so now it's like, of course, Christmas time. Maine, one of the worst winners of the 50 states.
Yeah.
And this, of course, family is moving in, and the kid's not into it.
No, and it's not even like. I mean, it's Christmas time,
but there's really no mention or stress on it being Christmas.
Yeah, the only time Christmas is really mentioned is because the parents go to a Christmas party.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like
and work Christmas parties can happen in November. They can happen in February, January, because you gotta get
whenever the place is available. That's
exactly, and you can get the most place there. So there's really no stress on coming together for Christmas. No decorate. I mean, although we do see Christmas lights later, so they must have decorated at some point.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. How big was that pool of string? I know we're jumping all around here. They seem to be able to do a lot with that pool of string there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So anyway,
let's try and find a grounding thing.
I know. So Finn, Fuck that name. And sorry, yes, we do cuss in this podcast, and there will be a lot more to come in this particular episode. Mostly probably from me.
Yes.
So he believes this house is haunted, because let's start there. Why not?
Yes. Yes, basically, he turns up, well, they turn up at this house, and now, it's the boy next door that plants the seed, right? I don't recall. It's not know. I think he asks the real estate agent if it's haunted, and then the boy mentions something, and so he's
I think it was first mentioned by the realtor. Yeah. And then the kid follows that up. The creepy neighbor, snow-loving kid.
Yeah, I don't think this kid ever goes inside.
I was going to say, I don't know if he's allowed inside.
I think he just makes himself an igloo every night and just goes to sleep.
I wrote down, how does he not gotten, frostbite or hypothermia by now? Because he exclusively stays outside with a styrofoam snowboard. Yes. And styrofoam snowmen and styrofoam snowballs.
Actually,
no attempt made to look like real snow.
More about the styrofoam snowman a little bit later. But yes, the reason we might seem to be sort of jumping around here is because I genuinely don't know where to start. Is there something you can think of that can kind of ground this here? I really don't know.
So, I mean, obviously we're just going with the same premise that I kind of started off with this episode, that, okay, there's something that these bandits want, in this case, a painting of Malcolm McDowell's grandmother. Yes. Sinclair, rather, not actually Malcolm McDowell's grandmother.
A very, very
by
expensive.
Edward Munch.
Yes, Mr. Munch.
Yes, Mr. Munch. More on him later. That'll tie all of this together, right?
A very expensive painting.
That looked kind of shitty, I thought.
Yeah,
it looked like it was painted on a wine night. No offense to anyone that goes to wine nights and paints. But,
definitely not one of his finer paintings.
Maybe, it's one of those that gain value after,
Do you remember how much they said it was?
Was it 60-some million? Or I don't know. I thought it was...
I'm genuinely
in the tens of millions.
85 million.
85. Okay.
$85 million, mate. And the only thing I can think of is, because it's been a long lost Munch painting, maybe, I don't know, people were just like, hey, I'll pay because of the name rather than, because it's a good painting, because it's not a good painting.
But very early on, it's established that Malcolm McDowell's character has an emotional connection to this.
Yes.
And he even says, she belongs to me. Mm-hmm. So at that point, do the other two bandits realize he has no intention of selling this thing?
Yeah.
I get dumb bandits, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, the one guy played by Crabman is saying, I'm out, and then he throws out that it's worth $85 million, and he goes, I'm in. But he has no intention of selling it. I don't know how he would end up, unless he would end up forging the painting and then selling that and keeping the original. But they don't have a forger. It's very clear
that he's just going to screw these people over, and he just wants the painting. Okay. Yeah, so there's another poor Malcolm McDowell I'll cross off. It was a reoccurring theme for me.
Why don't, since this is a Home Alone film, why don't we talk about the staple of Home Alone, which is the traps that the kid set up to stop the invaders?
Seriously, wow. It was at this point that my frustration was growing so much, and I really, really was rage hating this movie. They are not traps. They are annoyances to get you murdered.
To varying extents, yes. I mean, how about the weakest and stupidest one of all, which is, because the kid noticed the first time there had been people in the house that one of the cookies had been eaten. He bakes disgusting cookies And puts them on the side.
Ooh, we better run. This cookie tastes awful.
I know.
Let's get out of here.
Not as you would expect from probably an original Home Alone, a laxative-laced cookie or something like
I know
that.
there's so much I wanted to get to before we got to the traps, but we can back up later. But yeah, I wrote that down. And I'm like, Kevin McAllister was badass.
Yeah.
Like, he had a doorknob that gave Joe Pesci a third-degree burn. He had a nail go through Daniel Stern's foot. And you saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, this is ABC Family, and I guess you got to tone it down a little.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, you're not allowed to show something that someone might actually do.
Or might offend or anything like that. But they were so, to use a word that I've used once before and this movie loves, lame. I mean, all it does is just annoy. Or let's cover them in some goop. Make them drink some glue after the nasty cookie. Which, by the way, who just sees a full glass of what they think is milk and not think that someone is home at that point, which they didn't know, they suspected maybe.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and just drink it. You don't know how long it's been sitting there.
Also, how long ago did he pour out the glue? Because when it's not kept in a special container, it just becomes
That's
solid.
what glue does. That's the whole point of glue. It's to not remain in a liquid form.
Yeah. I've got a list here of the traps.
Oh my god, the boot.
Yes. So let's see. So we've already covered the nasty tasting gingerbread cookies.
Yes.
There was cotton balls and flour coming out the sink.
So is that supposed to be a nod to the tar and feather, I guess?
I guess.
Yeah.
There was actually a carton full of tar, but he didn't really connect it that well to that. But right. A snowblower blowing apparently marbles.
Marbles with the worst CG special effects I have seen in a while.
Yes.
With these magical, almost
with the
transparent.
Almost Who Framed Roger Rabbit style silhouette of the guy.
Oh my god! Through the garage door. Yeah, the form of him. Yes.
Apparently there was a coal-filled stocking. I don't remember that one. And
I don't remember that one either.
And maybe they filmed him and had him set it up. It just never came into play. And then ice on the patio, which is a trap from the original film.
Yeah, first time apparently. That's
and I believe the only people that are actually really affected by it are the police.
SWAT. Yes, the police.
And so, kind of really pointless for that one. Because, I believe Malcolm McDowell kind of slips a little bit and then goes, oh, there's ice there. And then just avoids it for the rest of the time.
That's, you're very clearly an ice patch there.
Yes. I'll say, an even worse use of ice on something than in Christmas with the Cranks. With that whole...
I'll take your word on that one.
It's bad. It really is.
Which is worse?
This one. Because, because it's a complete... It goes nowhere.
It truly does not. Backing up a bit, I had so Finn is convinced there are at least one ghost or multiple ghosts in this house.
Yes, the ghost of the original owner.
The bootlegger or whatever. Yeah,
the guy who died.
Oh my gosh, this muddled plot. To call it a plot is being generous. So anyway, he puts these stickers on the basement door to like half on the door, half on the molding around the door. On the door frame. To know if it's been broken. I mean, smart. But he calls them a trap. That is not a ghost trap. That is a ghost detection.
Also.
Or, at very least, an intruder detection.
Yes. And also the strongest sticker glue I've ever come across. Because any sticker that I can think of that you could probably put on a door and a door frame, even if it stays stuck to the door, which fair enough, like some doors are like that.
Yeah.
The second you open it, it'll just come off.
Yeah, one side it's going to peel off.
Yeah, but no, this one is apparently Gorilla Tape to the
I know it seems like we're nitpicking at the smallest of things, but trust me, there's a multitude of things to nitpick. Yes, so why not start it with the stupid stickers?
Yes.
And then the dad carrying a frying pan downstairs, because apparently frying pans are effective on ghosts, if you believe in ghosts.
And, I mean... that's what I've never understood about all these things. It's like, oh no, there's a ghost, and then everyone's just like, All right, let's arm ourselves. Sure.
Sure, let's beat an apparition to death.
Yeah, let's assume that there is a thing from another plane of existence that is manifesting in this dimension. And you are going to be able to physically harm it. Yeah, okay. And then in this one it was, just grab the frying pan, because I guess that was the nearest thing.
He really likes that boom noise.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so somewhere around this point, I guess, well, the thieves break in once, eat the cookies or whatever, and then Malcolm McDowell sees that there's a Christmas party going on. Yeah, like the next night or whatever it is. I don't know the time. It was the next night, a couple nights later.
I believe it's the weekend of whatever week it's.
So anyway, that's when they're going to come and take this painting.
And then the parents are trying to get the kids to go, and the daughter says, "I don't want to go." And so the mother's just like, "Fine, you can say, I don't care." And then the son
great
just
impression
like,
of the mother, head on.
Basically.
He's been working on that.
And then the son's just like, "Okay, I'll stay home then." And then the parents are just like, "Okay."
So they get to this party that's like at some sort of lodge, or I don't know. It's
the main equivalent of a cabin in the woods, basically.
Pretty much, where we meet the wonderful Ed Asner.
Yeah.
Ed Asner's in this fucking thing.
Yeah, another one. It's just like, okay.
And so he's this kooky old guy that can't hear. It's hilarious. Trust us.
Yeah, he has no idea the name of the person he just hired to cover an entire section of his business.
And did you know? I wrote this down originally, but I edited it. There was like they were going to bring the kids. There were almost no kids at the party anyway.
Yeah.
I found 2 in a screenshot later.
Yeah, I can't.
So it kind of looked like it was frowned upon bringing your kids because people wanted to get drunk on eggnog.
I was like, either that or everyone was just like, "I'm not bringing my kids."
No, I want to have fun.
It's a party. You don't bring your kids to a party.
No, you hire the babysitter. Yeah. Another nitpick I had was at some point this kid's a big gamer. That's a big plot point.
Yep. They really want him to stop being a gamer.
Yes. Because as amazing as his parents are, they don't care about his interests. And he must be an outdoorsy kid.
They're also one of those parents that don't understand you can't pause an online game. You can't do that.
No kidding. Yes, thank you. Anyway, so his controller dies at some point, and he goes to look for a new battery. They just moved in. They already have an established junk drawer. Did you catch that? Like, there's an established junk drawer.
Yeah, they haven't even unpacked all their junk yet.
No, but there are random things in it, unless it was the previous owner's random junk drawer, possibly.
Yeah. In which case, it would have been kind of fun to have them open it and see some things that are genuinely a little worrying. And close that drawer.
I wonder what those things could be.
I don't know. It's best left to the imagination.
Yeah. So at this point, I guess the battery goes downstairs, and this is when he discovers the secret room, or the secret room. He's already discovered that there's the wall that moves, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was one thing though you forgot to mention, that they took his controller away, and then he found another controller. So that's
while he's destroying the house.
Yeah, it's like he would know that there were 2 controllers. So, and yet he's so worried about this one.
He's going to have a backup. Yeah, come on, don't insult gamers here.
Yeah.
You're going to have a backup. You're going to have either a play in charge. You're going to have. You're not going to just be shocked by dead batteries.
Yeah.
So there's this room that apparently you cannot tell by the formation of the house and the blueprints, and that you could look at and say, "Oh, I wonder what that whole 500, 800 square foot area is that I can't access."
Yes.
But it exists in time and space that is not relevant, apparently.
Yes, the bottom of the house is a TARDIS. So basically, well, the problem with this is, originally the burglars open up this safe, and they're like, "Oh, it's not in here. Oh dear." And then
Gigi is not here.
It's almost very close to the Gary Oldman in Fifth Element. Just they're not here. But yes, so they then leave, and then when the boy and his sister go downstairs, and then it's like, oh, let me just touch this wall. Oops! And then it opens up.
Convenient after convenient goddamn plot devices to move this shit forward. Okay, I'm really getting mad again.
Yeah. And, talking about styrofoam snowmen, what about the obviously not wine bottles?
And yes, another convenient thing that she grabs the one that closes this safe the first try. Oh, wait, first one that you hit. Yep, that's the one that locks or closes the door up. Yeah. And apparently does not have it only works once. Or there's a release button that's somewhere hidden in the room. Because why else how else does anyone get out? What is the purpose of that bottle if there isn't any reverse
on the function? Well, I think the main option is, you tried to steal from me. You're sealed in until someone else opens it.
So it's an Indiana Jones trap.
Yes.
Okay. Not meant to be used by people in the know. Yeah.
No.
I suppose I can buy that.
Yeah.
Before that, we got one of my biggest FU. See, I'm trying to edit myself a little bit because there's many more Fs to come. The very forced aftershave nod.
Yeah.
Where Finn or Kevin stand-in is shaving. And if they had actually done it, I would have shut the movie off.
That's it.
I'm done. I would have said, I will bullshit my way through the rest of the podcast, Paul, but I cannot do it.
Yeah,
thankfully, they had enough sense to bail, where he's just, he does put the hands to the face, and shrugs it off.
Yeah.
Still, F you for even going there, for even bothering to go there.
Yeah. Well,
because once again, who is that for?
Now, to be fair, they sort of had to do it. It is the poster for the film, if you recall.
That premise lies on that they had to go with that as the poster.
They did. So it's unfortunately a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And then back and around in circles we go. Yeah, and there we go to the daughter touching the bottle. So here's another. I'm just going to nitpick this to death. I'm sorry. Finn doesn't think it's weird that. So the sister's going to go to the mall because there are horrible kids with horrible parents. And she's just going to go to the mall in a snowstorm that is apparently blocking the parents from leaving. But okay to go to the mall in.
Although, to be fair, thinking about it, do you remember seeing any snow anywhere other than that? Like, even outside the house?
No real snow.
Yeah, yes.
No, stuff that was supposed to look like snow, but did not. So, teenagers, this is 2012. I mean, the beginning of the movie really establishes how much they're into their devices and tries to make that point. That's kind of a subplot, how we're reliant we are on devices and technology, and we need to get out and play and talk to people. And
Pokemon.
Have you talked to people lately? Yeah. So that being said, he doesn't think it's weird that his sister left her phone on the counter, and then assumes she went to the mall without her phone. A teenager's lifeline?
Yeah.
Like an 8-year-old's lifeline. But no.
Yeah, that
is so much that's just brushed away.
Yeah, it definitely one of those things of when you're watching a horror film and you hear the scrape noise, and so everyone just instinctively walks in the direction of the noise, and then, oh no, they're killed. And you're like, how are people this stupid? This is worse than that. This is just being flat out ignorant of everything.
Yeah. So the sister gets trapped in the basement. Another convenience. He gives up trying to explain the situation after 2 tries. Now, if she doesn't believe him, okay, well, I'm clearly not going to get through to her.
Yep.
If there are robbers trying to get into your house and you are a young child, I think I'm going to try to keep hammering that point home a little further.
Yes.
Okay, she doesn't believe me. All right, I guess I'm on my own here. I can keep going, Paul. I'd like to get you in here somewhere.
I want to know if you can think of any way where, when he makes up, is it his bedroom that he makes up as basically a laser quest, like a laser thing with the ghosts and all that, and all he is doing is hiding in the closet with about 5 ropes that he's just pulling.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch.
It's almost pay no attention to the man behind the curtain type scenario.
It was very, just Wizard of Oz kind of just pulling, literally pulling strings though.
Yeah. And there's half of the stuff in that room there is no explanation for, period. It's not like he got it from somewhere or how he would know how to set it up or anything like that. The room is just set up so just in case a robber decides to come through that window that they can be scared. Because if they were to walk in through the door, that would probably break the door string. So that wouldn't work.
Yeah. He's got to sit there because the lady robber, whatever her name was, who cares, goes through that window, and he was just crouching there the whole time, waiting on hopefully someone comes in this way.
Probably. Yeah.
And then you get a boot kind of gently in the face, and pratfall over a wooden reindeer.
Yep.
And now that window is open for you to go into.
Yeah.
You have done nothing.
Yeah.
Only angered them slightly further.
You've delayed them by about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then in they go.
If that was Kevin, the glass would have broken in their face or something. And he would have
some
hurt
sort of
them.
metal bars would have slid down.
Yeah, it would have chopped their fingers off or something. I don't know. Maybe not that far, but...
Well, speaking of that, so all of these things that he sets up, he goes to the hardware
store.
Where
he apparently hasn't never learned about money.
No. Yeah, he's putting all of this, it's at least a 1.5-minute long sequence of, this I can put it in the cart. Oh, this, put it in the cart. And he gets to the tills, and the guy's like, well, that'll be, what was it, like
2,000.
2,000, something like, which... How expensive is this store to start with? Because
he had a lot of stuff there.
I'm fairly certain he doesn't have $2,000 worth of stuff in there.
I don't know. I didn't see everything. Yeah. Some of the hardware stuff can be pretty pricey. So.
But anyway, all he can afford is string.
One spool of string.
Yep.
I think I accidentally said pool earlier. I apologize for my stupidity there, but this movie has affected me to the point of stupidity. A spool of string that apparently is enough for him to set up his entire house with wired and strung up booby traps.
Yeah, and obviously this is jumping around to the end as well, but...
Let's skip to the end.
So he's able to put the string down through the grating from the toilets upstairs down to the thing, because for some reason that's linked. Anyway, at no point does he explain this plan B to his sister. At least that we heard. There's no on-screen mention of what plan B is. But she's able to go, I'll attach this string to this glass, and I'll assume that's the plan B then, shall I? I understand it's supposed to be surprise at the end of the film, but it's also a surprise to the sister because she's not told what the plan is. I guess she just comes up with it, and it's the same plan that the brother came up with. But basically at the end of the film they are able to catch... Is it just one of them? Is it just the McDowell in there at the end, or is it McDowell and Hughes?
To be honest, Paul, I kind of tuned out the last 15 minutes.
I believe it's McDowell and Hughes that are stuck in there. I
paused when I saw I had 17 minutes to go. I'm like, I can cruise through and not really pay too much attention here because I had it.
They end up stuck in there because when they're in there trying to steal the painting, the sister has attached a string to the same thing that got her caught in there, and then almost doesn't make it out herself when that is actually activated. And then, so you might be wondering, well, there are 3 robbers, so where does the 3rd one end up? Well, I'm glad you asked, because remember those styrofoam snowmen that we were talking about earlier? Yeah. She's inside one of those.
Which... Even if that was real snow, how does she stay there long enough for a giant snowman to be built around her?
Yeah, I can only imagine that Kevin McAllister did come along and knock her out with one of his paint cans, and then
or the old man with the shovel came back.
Yeah. so the kid was able to make a cast and then put the styrofoam around her and then get us in place. Yeah.
Hey, look! I found this prop snowman in my basement. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Because first and foremost, if you were to pack someone into a snowman,
yes,
you'd need to make the snowman about 3 meters in diameter, I think, for it to stand any chance of you not being able to get out.
Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. Like, you just, I don't know, maybe...
Oh, this, once again, slowed me down by 4 seconds. Yeah.
Just say, oh no, the police are coming. I'll just step away. There we go.
Now I'm a little cold and there's snow on my clothes. Oh, God, fuck this movie. So another thing we're asked to believe is that the the daughter, is going to have a phone that just dies. Never going to happen.
No.
Not unless she's going out. Not if she's at home, no.
Yeah, she's planning on going out, so that phone will be fully charged before.
Absolutely. This is 2012. They still had mobile chargers. Also, so out of touch with teenagers or people. I don't think they'd have an outgoing voicemail message at all, let alone one so jovial and friendly.
Yeah. No.
Hi, this is whatever her name was. Leave a message.
Yep. Alexis was the name.
No one even deals with voicemails anymore. If your friend leaves you a voicemail, you're like, what? You better be on fire. Or in the process of being set on fire.
Hey, do you wouldn't mind calling me back?
We all have caller ID. We saw you called. Yeah, text me like a sane person. No one's bothering to leave out. I don't have an outgoing voice message. I don't know. I mean, I used to, but people know what to do.
I used to, and now I don't. And to be perfectly honest, not having one means you end up getting less spam voicemails.
Yeah.
So
I don't. It was just extremely out of touch. Like,
yes.
I think know who wrote this.
It was probably written in 2005, and they only just then, when they made this, were able to find someone to go, okay.
Yeah, they put in the whole thing with the devices controlling kids and all that. Yeah, and games.
This had 2 writers. This film had 2 writers.
Because it feels like I had 12. And they all kind of just
Aaron Ginsberg
jumbled together.
And Wade McIntyre are the names of the writers.
All right. Well, hey, everyone's got to eat. I get it. Yeah. But still, I had to sit through this thing. Which, we put through ourselves. But... Oh yeah, Poor Maestro. There's another one. I wrote Poor Maestro that time. Okay. So he says, speaking of Maestro, that a painting ripped in half can be repaired.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but that kind of the whole point of art is that condition is kind of key.
Yes, very much so.
So. I guess you'd have to have a value that's so crazy high. Like, if it's the only... like, you got to get into, like, ancient artifacts. Sure, a vase broken is still valuable. But a painter from the last couple 100 years, once it's ripped in half, I think it's pretty much useless, right?
Yeah, I think the only reason that line would fly at all is because, as we said, Malcolm McDowell's character... clearly has no intention of selling it.
No.
So he would just put the tape on the back, make sure the front looked alright, stick it up somewhere.
Yeah, I wrote, why are they shocked that he wants to keep the painting? This has been telegraphed the whole time. When he finally gets it. Oh my gosh. I wrote, seriously, fuck off with the fake snow. So then, I guess we're getting to the end of the film, I hope.
Chronologically, I think we've already hit on it a few times.
I mean, we've kind of brushed over the whole subplot of the adult gamer Simon, the loner.
Yeah, actually, my favourite part of the whole thing. That's probably why I've not mentioned it much since we are just...
least hated?
So... the sister is into the phone. The kid is into games. Specifically, Robo Infantry 3.
Which is like a multiplayer
it's basically
kind of
rip-off Halo, is what it looks like. So, and he's playing online and is apparently only playing this one guy ever. because he constantly is trying to kill this guy in the game, and he's not able to do it, and that's all he seems to do. That is it. This guy is always online. He's always playing him, and then they are talking bits during the film, and then when the kid just goes like, "Oh, these people are like robbing my house." And then it's like, "Oh, what game are you playing?" And he doesn't immediately say it's not a game. No, he's just like...
Because that would be too easy.
Yeah, he's just like, well, how would you... They do that. So the guy thinking it's a game is just like, well, it's
a tower defense game.
So on and so forth. And then
what
the
are
next
your
time...
skills?
And then the next time he's just like, I've been asking around. This game doesn't exist. It's like, no, it's not a game. Like, you should have mentioned that before.
And then we get the hint of pedophilia, where it's an adult man talking to a 10-year-old, and
yeah, I mean
they kind of hit it around at it, which was a little odd for an ABC family film.
Yes, I mean they have the bit where, because this guy realizes what's going on, he's clearly a high-level hacker of some kind, because that is some impressive detective work by his part.
Yeah, he was able to get an address.
Not only get an address, but the mobile phone number of the mother of...
Yes, absolutely. Which, if he was able to, that is still a crime, is it not? To obtain that information?
Well, it is said in the film, he does say something about, like, well, I was able to get it because you were the contact information on the account. So something like that.
He had time to file a Freedom of Information Act.
So technically, he hasn't broken the law. But then the inevitable, your son's in trouble. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? Oh, that probably sounds bad. No, he's just that probably sounds bad.
Yes, because let's purposely make it as confusing and convoluted as possible.
Yeah.
So we can get this movie to a conclusion.
Yes, and then he is swatted. For those of you that are not sure what that is, the SWAT team turns up and mace him.
Yeah.
And then at the end... He is watching the live video feed from their
where
house.
were these? And then you go into the actual shots of those scenes, and where are the cameras?
Yeah, the camera would needed to have been literally on the staircase to get the shot that we saw.
And there are no cameras there.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck?
Yes.
Could be said at every minute.
Yes. And so, at the very end of the film, spoilers...
Big payoff? Oh, are we getting to the big payoff?
Yeah, well, I'm saying they end up getting 4 museum passes for retrieving the painting. Mm-hmm. And then $30,000 for catching the criminals, which they didn't. I mean, it's really...
No.
Like, they didn't do anything, and the kid, at most, could... I think
Creepy Neighbor Kid has a claim to some of that money for the snowman.
and also, given that it's America, surely the robbers would have ended up turning around and suing the kid for mental anguish for some of the stuff that...
Oh, for those bad cookies alone, yeah.
Yes, I know.
You made me eat a bad cookie. Yes. You owe me $1 million.
So yeah, basically what happens as a result of getting the money is... Finn receives a snowboard and an expansion pack to the game, and wouldn't you know, he picks the snowboard to go and play with, and then the daughter gets an iPad, basically. I'm sure it's not actually an iPad, but he gets a tablet.
Yeah.
So the parents are just going, fuck it. If you're into it, there you go, just have that. And
then we give up,
And then they buy Simon a plane ticket to go home because he said he can't afford to go home.
Yeah, and I was so over it at that point. I'm like, just F you for trying to get sentimental here. And no, not going to work on me at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about Simon. I didn't give a shit about anyone in this movie. Yeah. And you glossed over something that really angered me too. Essentially, the movie for me turned into a 90-minute setup and punchline for the parents to do a Edward Munch aftershave crossover joke. It's essentially what built to them both putting the hands to the sides of their face.
Yep.
And I just wrote, fuck me.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a big comedic moment I took, or at least for watching it, I assumed that was supposed to be what they're, and I just, oh my god. Yeah. So then we get to the end credits, which, hey, I stuck around a little bit for the end credits because I couldn't immediately find my Apple remote, and so it cuts away from the credits. I think, oh, we're gonna see some bloopers, maybe something of some value here. That might make this just a tiny 1% enjoyable, but no, they make you watch the same stupid stunts and over that you had to sit through in the previous 90 minutes. And they're just pouring salt in your goddamn wound, spitting in your face, really driving that dagger in deep into your side. Like, yeah, this movie fucking sucks, doesn't it?
I'm so glad I didn't watch the credits now.
It goes through every goddamn stunt. Like the boot in the face, the marbles, and the snowman building. There is no new
Please
material.
tell me it's at least in chronological order.
I don't recall. I think it jumped around.
Okay.
And if anyone knows or cares to correct me, fine. But what are you doing with your life?
Yes.
To correct me on Home Alone 5. It was, like, really? And then my anger just blowed over, and I'm like, fuck this piece of shit. Wrote giantly on my notepad.
Yep.
As Paul can attest.
Yeah, it was the only note I could read when you were showing it.
Yeah. Really? You're gonna... I was so mad. The movie's over. Let us have some peace. But no, remember all that shit you just watched? Here it is again.
Yep.
Here's the highlights.
I was like,
no.
Just no. Maybe what would have been funny is if they start playing the credits and then the entire film starts playing in reverse as if someone's rewinding a VHS tape type thing, and so you just end up seeing it right at the beginning again.
Yeah.
But
or zoom out and it's a TV screen and it's Kevin McAllister watching, like, that was fucking awful. Just Macaulay, not Kevin McAllister. Actually Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin.
Or it zooms out and it's McAllister is like just looking at it and turns to someone and just like, there was nothing like what happened. As in ABC Family have just tried to make his story from before. It's like, no.
I guess if you look at it that way, like Home Alone is a screenwriter's first draft, and then 5 is what producers do to a screenplay, and all the changes that are made.
Home Alone 1 and sort of 2 are the first draft, and then 3 and 4 are when they're like, okay, that's good. We bought our own writers in.
Yeah, it's not Chicago anymore; it's Maine.
And then 5 is when the son of the head of the studio is like, yeah, I could write this better. Here we go, and there you go.
Well, let's hope this is the last one. I will not be seeing it.
No.
I guess, is that part of Franch-Fried? If any are ever added to, are we obligated to see those?
No, we have officially covered the franchise.
Okay.
I don't think we should jump back, I think, at this point. I mean, maybe we'll cover it in our other ones if we feel like we should, but no. For Franch-Fried, once we've done a franchise, it's done.
Whether they make a Home Alone 6 or not, we are out.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bad just while I was watching this one. Just like, at least with Ernest, it was so bad that it was kind of funny to talk about how bad it was.
Yeah.
Whereas,
this one, I don't know if this is... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm probably going to say exactly what you were going to say, which is that there's so little to this, and it was so badly done that it's not even that fun to talk about.
I know. I'm like, I just come off like, I'm sorry, like an irate person, which I am.
Yeah.
This movie angered me. I texted multiple people, not just you. I'm like, this movie is pissing me off. Like, I am seriously upset at how awful and how much they did not give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, there are films that you can say, oh, it's so bad. Like, yeah, you might enjoy watching it, but it's bad. This one is one of those ones that if someone tells you don't watch it, please
do not watch this. Please do not watch it. Yeah. Unless someone dared you and they're offering you a substantial amount of cash.
Yes.
Then possible.
Maybe the $30,000 rewards.
$30,000 might get me to watch it again. Yeah, tax free, please.
There you go. Yes.
Tax free, $30,000. Yeah. That's about it.
Yes. All right. I think we need to genuinely stop talking about.
I hope this was enjoyable for you people. I can at least guarantee it's more enjoyable than the film, and I haven't even heard this episode back but don't watch it ever. No. Watch one and be happy with one.
Yes. And I enjoyed two. I mean, not just because of Tim Curry. I mean, I genuinely thought it was all right. Mm-hmm. But, yes, moving on, we now need to figure out what the hell we're watching next.
I had a thought earlier today, but as I kind of alluded before we started recording, I don't know if it quite qualifies as a cohesive nature, but I was going to do, inspired by the fact that there is a new one coming out, which won't be the one we see because it can't be a new one in theaters, but the most recent Amityville movie.
That would be interesting. I've never seen any of the...
because I don't know how closely they're tied, but they could kind of fall under our reboot rule. Again, fall against that.
Well, you just kind of explain what Amityville is, and I will very quickly look it up.
Well, for anyone not interested, it was originally a novel. I don't think it was written by the family. I think it was like in conjunction or something. I know I read it a long time ago about a haunted house. This family experiences, which to this date most of the occurrences have been debunked. And this is not to get into the skepticism side of my personality, but it's neither here nor there. But a movie was then made, an original movie, and then sequels were made, and then multiple reboots, reimaginings, retellings have occurred. And I think I don't know, it feels like there's maybe 10 to 12 now.
The one that's coming out.
Yeah, and there's a new one coming out.
The one that will be coming out will be the 18th.
18th. So I overshot it by half a dozen, or undershot it by half a dozen. Yeah.
However, it seems that none of them are direct sequels to each other. They're all independent. But they are all considered...
I thought there was like 2 or 3 that the first were not sequels.
1, 2, and 4 are the only ones based on the books in the series and have references to each other. 2 is a prequel. 3D was a sequel to the first film. So basically, it's known as a saga. So, I mean,
does it not count?
I'm willing to accept it. The only thing that I was going to suggest, and it just occurred to me now while you were about to mention Amityville, which is, and this is only because I haven't seen the latest in this one. What about Indiana Jones?
Oh, God. That means Crystal Skull.
Yes, it does.
I watched that when I'm on a flight to London.
Okay.
On a screen yay big. I'm holding my hands about 5 inches apart.
The old
back of the seat.
TV.
Yeah, back of the seat TV. And I fell asleep.
Alright.
Just in time for, spoiler, refrigerator scene.
Yes.
The very plausible refrigerator scene. And to that I say, no thank you.
Well,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, though. How about, we'll leave it at that now.
Okay.
And then, after recording, we'll flip a coin. And whichever one it lands on, that's what we're doing. And we won't say anything until it comes out.
Or should we put it to Twitter?
We can. Tell you what, I will then put out something on Twitter.
Amityville versus...
I think I'll put it out before this episode comes out, so that it is done and dusted, and then hopefully we'll have enough responses that we can have a definitive one.
If there's not, we'll flip a freaking coin.
If it is 50-50, we will flip that coin.
Yes. I'd say a minimum of 5 people need to weigh in.
Yeah.
5 votes.
Well, or what we can do, maybe if we have the poll going, the third option can just be like other, and then people can suggest, and maybe the first it'll be like.
Why don't you tell us what piece of crap you want to watch? He wants. Yeah. All right. I think that's enough business for now. Thank you if you've listened through all of this.
Yeah, and for those of you that have listened this far, Do follow us on Twitter at
Yes.
Blokebusters, Facebook.com, Blokebusters.
Blokebusters.
Email us,
Yes,
blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. And we are on Instagram.
Yes, we are.
I haven't updated that in a little bit, but yeah, I will eventually. And also we have a website, blokebusters.webs.com, which I think is up to date. Fairly certain it is. So there you go.
All right.
So, after all of this,
Yeah.
well, I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.